Hi friends, Angelica here. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be working with a few products from Waffle Flower. I recently received a package from them and this beautiful floral die set was in it. I thought the flower was so unique and I wanted to make a full background with it. So that's what we're going to do today. So this is the layered abstract flower die. This is a 10-piece die set and it makes a full stemmed flower and bloom. I've already die cut cardstock off screen and we're going to put together the flower and bloom now. I love the layers that this die set has. I am all about die cutting right now. I'm just have been die cutting a lot. So the more colors I can bring to my cards, the happier I am. I did pick fall colors since we are in September. This is a pretty self-explanatory set to put together, though the bottom layer of the large flower has a guideline to show where to attach the middle layer to, which is a big help. So you can find an assembly guide over on Waffle Flower's website if you have any questions. You can see that these flowers are super easy to put together. I actually spent more time picking out paper scraps than I did on the whole assembly of the card. Now, I did go through my paper scraps for the stamp market, I believe, is where I pulled the majority of my colors from, including the gold glitter paper. This set is now done, and I put together a lot more flowers off screen, so we can just jump right into making the background. I picked black cardstock to glue the flowers on, starting with the stems. I usually start in the middle to make my backgrounds, but I wanted this to look like a vine, so I started at the bottom. I kept the whole process on screen. I just sped it up to save time. I like to work on silicone mats a lot when I'm crafting, especially when I'm gluing or inking paper. The silicone mats have a really nice grip and hold my paper in place. So I have several in my collection, and right now I'm using Waffle Flower's Stencil Mat for this video. There's a larger water media mat available in their shop, and if I was to remake this card, I would probably use that. This one is great. I just would have had more room to dab off glue from the back of the cardstock before attaching the pieces to the black cardstock. For some reason, I was using a pretty heavy hand when applying my glue, so black cardstock is really unforgiving with glue. Fortunately, there wasn't a huge mess, and I was able to pick up the glue quickly with my tweezers. But yes, doing a quick dab onto the mat first would have eliminated the potential of a mess. So now I know. In talking about glue, I am using art glitter glue. This is my go-to. I started with this glue several years ago when I got into crafting. I've spent a lot of money on different glues to see if I liked other brands, and this is what I've always come back to. So I buy bigger bottles and I put it in a needlepoint bottle. The glue has almost a water-like consistency, so a little does go a long way. Now, if you're looking for a new glue, I do recommend it, but with a needlepoint bottle because it is such a thin consistency. Getting back to the card, I'm still building up my scene, and you can see I'm not attaching the petals yet, and there's two reasons for that. First, I want to trim the sides with the least amount of layers of cardstock, and the stems only have 2 layers on them. The larger flower has 3, so I do not want to try and cut 5 layers of cardstock or have the potential of that happening. So the leaves are going to go on first, the stems are going to go on first, and then I'm going to trim the sides, and I want to have dimension to the card also. The flowers do have dimension because they're layered, but I want more. So I'm going to be applying the petals with thin foam squares. And if you're familiar with my blog or my videos, you know I'm a huge fan of thin foam squares. My collection of them is almost embarrassing. I buy them in bulk on Amazon, so I will not be running out of them anytime soon. So just like the art glitter glue that I use, I highly recommend the squares too. I'll leave a link to the glue and the squares, well, everything that I'm using in this video down in the description. So I'm pretty much adding the last of the stems. I'm going to take the petals off and head over to my paper trimmer and trim off the edges. Now the edges are trimmed and I'm adding the petals. So I'll be trimming the edges again. So I'm going to be really careful where I'm attaching the squares. I don't want to have to cut through them. I'm adding them to the inner back side of the petals that are going to be on the edges, and on the petals that are inside the card, like on the inner side, I'm leaving room open where the stems are going to be underneath the petals so the flowers can lie flat on the card front. I like to do 3 edges first, so I can use the 4th edge on my paper trimmer as a guide, as a straight guide to trim the other 3 edges, then come back and finish, well, for this card, the top of the panel. And then I'll go back and trim the top edge to finish the panel. And now you know how I put together probably 50% of my cards. I absolutely love making my own background with die cuts. I'm going to just glue a leaf in that top right corner. There was a little bit of black space, so I thought I would use a leaf that I had cut off one of the stems to fill that in. I trimmed the panel one last time and attached it to a card base, and now I'm moving on to a sentiment. I picked a sentiment from Classic Sentiments. I did purchase this stamp set just a few days ago from Waffle Flower's online shop, and it was at my house in 2 days. I was super happy with the fast delivery. Once I picked the sentiment I wanted to use, I stamped it with VersaFine Clair Nocturne ink, and I'm going to die cut it with a stacking banners die. I figured out where I wanted the placement of the sentiment to be, so I'm going to attach it to the card with one last thin foam square. And since the area already has a 2-layer stem there, I'm going to back the rest of the sentiment that's not going to be on the black background with a strip of white cardstock. I'm going to use glue, and then I'm going to glue it to the card. And that finishes today's project. I love how this card turned out. The layered abstract flower is so lovely and it's really versatile. So this can work on a card for pretty much any occasion, even Christmas, just by changing the colors of the petals. That's all that I have for today. I hope I was able to pass along ideas and inspiration on building backgrounds. I want to thank you so much for joining me. If you like what you saw, please give this video a thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more, be sure to subscribe. I'll be back shortly with another video, so I'll see you then. Bye.